Yeah,
I looked at like some of the clips on Instagram and stuff like that. I didn't go to the YouTube page, but I looked up some of the clips
yeah,
and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And it's just casual chat, man. Like I just wanted to grab a bunch of coaches and just talk shop, pretty much. Just talk
Yeah, I
bit,
love it.
talk about coaching and training. I see a lot of the other podcasts. They get into the life history of the person and where they grew up and how long they've been racing and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just like, I just want to know what you're doing for training, like and obviously helping riders. And I think a lot of people are interested in that. Like they can get a lot out of it and take a lot away from it. So,
We're a
it's all
couple old guys. If you're asking about our life, we'll be here all day.
yeah, exactly right. Um, yeah, it's funny because to be honest, I don't think it's changed that much over the years. Like I've sort of come back recently. I had a bit of a break for a couple of years and then came back and it's all the same stuff, right? Training wise and yeah, I don't think it's changed that much. Do you?
And you know what? The wheel is still a wheel, right? You can do certain things to make it a little bit better, but at the end of the day, the same stuff works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, and it's crazy. And then you get so many riders these days. They're just coming in and like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and there's all these different ideas. But it's just, I don't know, man. I just feel like it all just sort of falls back to the old same old with training.
Completely agree.
Yeah,
Completely agree.
yeah, rad. So you're running the track in San Diego, yeah? How long you had that gig for?
Oh, probably like 12 plus years now, probably 12, 13 years now.
Yeah, wow, wow. And
Yeah,
so,
so I ran Chula. I ran that for a while. And then when that kind of closed down, luckily I had this opportunity to open up here and took over this. And then Chula's closed down now. So now we're just full-time here.
yeah, rad. And you obviously handle a lot of the coaching stuff, and you got your own little coach. You got your coaching set up there as well.
Yeah. We do a ton of coaching out here. So I mean, we do everything from practices to races to coaching to high-end private lessons to camps to birthday parties to schools coming out. You name it, we try to do it all.
Yeah, rad. How good's that?
Yeah.
How and so you start from like beginners to what level sort of are you coaching riders at?
I mean, I have everything from like your very first time you'd ever been out to the track all the way up to, I mean, I was trackside at Paris at the last Olympics with Delaney. So I work with riders kind of all level.
Yeah, wow. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
What one of the questions I get, especially with like riders coming in probably, 11, 12, 13, that sort of teenage, and they start asking me about gym stuff, like, oh, should I get in the gym now? Can I get in the gym? What do you think about that? What's your philosophy on riders getting in the gym and starting to lift weights, and what age do you think they should get in there?
I don't think it's a bad thing to do. I think you just have to be careful because what I've seen is when you have riders that are that age that jump straight into the gym, they've got years and years of training legs, right? They've been on the track, they've been doing some serious strength work to some degree, even though they don't realize it, and their legs are strong and kind of their core and their trunk, so to speak, can't handle it.
Yep.
Right? So you'll go and you'll put this kid on who might be able to throw 2 plates on his back, but his midsection can't handle it. Then he's going to have back issues and stuff like that. So I think it's one of those things that is good, but you have to be smart about what you're doing and make sure that you're doing it the proper way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I like to look at the rider a lot of the time, because they all develop at different levels at that age too.
Absolutely.
Like I don't know if it's in the chicken they're eating or whatever it is, but they all sort of sprout at different levels. So you'll see some kids at 12 that look like they're 26, and then you got other 12-year-olds that look like they're still 8. So
Absolutely.
I use that as a bit of a gauge too, especially girls, right? Girls are
not
weird.
necessarily one size fits all. You know what I mean?
For sure, and girls are different too, right? So, some girls mature faster, but then, they just, in the gym, they're just not mature enough, or, I don't know, it's weird, right? It's it's case by case, I feel.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's definitely not a one size fits all answer with that one.
Yeah, nice. I'm dealing with a lot of younger riders too, man. It's really good. I like getting them that age and just sort of playing around with, I don't know, getting them the right mindset early on. Like teaching about training and all the principles I learned from training, man, I've really crossed over to a lot of my personal life as well, like just with business and all that sort of stuff as well. I feel if you can get them young enough, you can teach them some really good habits.
Well, and that's where I think kind of like our sports changed, right? Because like when I was pro, I was one of the first generations where we were actually training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? where there was coaches and there was programs and there was stuff like that. And I'll always say your next generation, the reason that they're so fast and have such long staying powers, your Joris's, Corbin's, guys like Sam is in that era, like so many guys that were in that fast era. Sylvain, another one. I mean, I can go on and on and on. The reason why I think they're doing so good is because they were doing the same thing at 14, 15 that I was doing at 23, 24.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a pro schedule. They didn't have commitments. They were going through their body changing and just naturally just getting so strong in general.
Yeah.
And they had such an amazing base to build from those younger to older teenage years that's just, I mean, transferred on. And look at like a guy like Joris and Sylvain are still crushing it. And like, I mean, so many more you can go down the list at such an older age. You know what I mean?
It's a lot more, there's a lot more older pros these days, right? Compared to
Right.
previously. Like, I think sort of 25, 26 back in the day you were done. I got to like 29. I was like, that's enough. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just smashed myself too hard early on. I don't know.
Right.
Or just didn't have, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't have the infrastructure around me and enough good people, or maybe knowledge
Well, it
back
wasn't
then
available.
too. Yeah, it just wasn't available, right?
No. I mean, the clinics that were available to me, I could never really go. I was raised by a single mom who we could barely afford to get to the races, right? So clinics weren't really an option. But there was really only a few coaching options. There wasn't regular weekly coaching session. There wasn't camps. There wasn't places where you can go and learn. And now there's so many of that all over the country that riders are able to get on this at a really, really young age and learn how to do things the right way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it, right, man. I mean, I said this in one of my other podcasts. It's like, I was trained by like some guy who used to coach footy, like a football
There you
club.
go.
And so he'd have us running laps around the oval and stuff like that. Like, this is a BMX. I mean, I didn't sign up for this. So, yeah, we just didn't have the knowledge back then, I guess. I say
Absolutely.
back then, which is many, many moons ago. But
Right. But then I think like one thing I want to touch on that I think is super cool that you said is like what translates from BMX into regular life.
Yeah.
Like the lessons that you can learn at this sport, from everything from winning, from failure to, I love it because it's a solo sport and it all relies on you, right? Unless somebody falls on you out of the gate, ultimately it comes back to you, because if somebody takes you over the turn, well, you could have been further in front and that wouldn't have happened.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's man, I was talking to somebody the other day about it, and just BMX just breaks your heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can do everything perfect, and those guys that are out there winning consistently, like, they make it look so easy, right? Like, effortless.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to consistently win races every weekend, man. Like, everything's got to go perfect, right? You know, like you could have the perfect training training program. You know, you're feeling great. You get to the race. Actually, I was talking to Hayden Fletcher about this, and he just won the Nationals last year in Australia here. And we're talking about the same thing. Like, he'd peaked a bunch for like 2 or 3 years in a row, and he was right there every race, and he just, you know, it just kept slipping through his grasp. So he just couldn't get that win, and then he finally got the win this year or last year. And yeah, he was just saying, like, you know, we did everything perfect. Like, I felt great. I got to the race, everything happened, and just, you know, I come in the last turn, Bodie got under me. And then, you know, the next year something else happened. The next year something else happened. Like, it just doesn't take it just takes that little thing, just throw you off your game, or like a flat tire, or, you know, or your pedal breaks. Like, oh, now I got to get another pedal. And now my foot's not, you know, fitting perfect in my pedal, and now it's sliding around. It feels weird. You know, is my cleat in the wrong spot? Like, all those little things that, man, just mess with your head, right?
It's such a dynamic sport. There's so much going on the track, behind the starting gate, and everything in between. That's if people really knew kind of a little bit more of those stories, it'd make for a really good show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so hard, man. It's so hard. Yeah, that's great, man. I love. Oh, man, I dream of having a setup like yourself, where you've just got the track to yourself. Well, not track to yourself, but, you know, you've got access to a track that you can just utilize whenever you need it, and really just sort of do your own thing with it.
Yeah, it's a game changer. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. It's a bit harder over here because all the clubs are sort of run by government or council. Local councils sort of own the clubs, or own the tracks, I should say, and then the clubs come along and try and run their club within that.
In my situation, I'm on city land,
Yep.
but then I lease the land from the city for community activities, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And then you have certain things like your mega facilities, like your Rock Hills and things like that. Those are city owned, and then they hire a track operator or a manager to so to speak to come in and run like the day-to-day operations.
Okay, so it's a similar setup. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So it just kind of depends on the track, and you know, the ups and downs are the nicer facility, the more politics, right? You're gonna get more financial support as where we have to raise all the money out here ourselves, or I have to pay for it myself, and things like that.
Yeah.
But we have the ability to kind of do a little bit more in certain areas.
Yeah, right. Let's I just want to have a yeah, like I said earlier, I just want to chat more about coaching and helping riders and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
with especially with the younger kids, as far as developing them on the bike and on the track, yeah, what do you do there? Can you give me a bit more insight onto, I guess it's hard, right? Because you've got so many levels. Where do you start, I guess?
Yeah, we start really early out here. We offer like a new rider class. So if you've and I highly recommend people to come out to it when they're wanting to try out BMX for the first time, is come to our new rider class. Don't come out on a public, I mean, if you want to, right? Come out to a public race night or practice, but that can be intimidating because you have a 7-year-old out here with a grown man like you or me could be on the gate next to your kid looking really fast. And even though we are completely out of their way, the parents get nervous, right? Parents get nervous. Maybe they don't want to come back, things like that. So instead, we tell them to come out to the new rider class where it's kids in sweatpants and their womb bikes and whatever. And it's a little bit more slower paced. So we do everything there. We try to teach them the basics from there. And then they kind of lead into our public programs. From there, we have the races and then obviously the coaching sessions. And I split up my coaching sessions throughout the week from like novice to intermediate to expert, right? So my stuff is all tiered. And then I do a lot of private coaching every week as well through like I guess you would consider it more like my mid and higher end riders out here, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So we try to cater to everybody, but we try to get them in from day one of just learning the right way. And I think that also makes the parents feel a little bit more comfortable because they're not just throwing their kid in the deep end of the pool and hoping that they can swim. They know that they have a little bit basic coaching and understanding before they get out there.
Yeah, right. And what do you do with as far as programs on the track? So I've got a few riders as well that I'm sort of working with and starting to give them a little bit more track specific workouts. Do you guys have a like a system in place, or you sort of, how do you play that?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of depends on just what races we have coming up. Yeah, so just try to make sure that like we kind of have a few week plan set in place to make sure that their goals are accomplished on like certain bigger races as they come up and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. And do you, I guess, do you giving more specific stuff around the track? Like, are you getting riders to work on, like, obviously manually jumping? Are you giving them specific things to work on?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of depends on the night, right? Because if I mean, you know, you do coaching clinics, your clinic is going to be different if you have 5 kids versus 25 kids.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think when it's kind of some smaller groups, we can focus a little bit more on technique and we have a little bit more time. When the group gets larger, we have to focus a little bit more on efforts as a whole. But both are great in their own way. When it's a smaller group and you have that technique time, you can dial things in. And when it's bigger, we have the ability to work on those half laps, those race lines. Well, why did you leave your inside open? Why didn't you make a pass in turn 2? Okay, let's go do it again. And this is how you correct that, like things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think my advantage is because I do it every week. It's all connected and it's all kind of ever going. Yeah. As where I don't know your exact situation. You're probably flying somewhere and trying to teach a couple-hour clinic and packing everything into a couple of hours, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing a lot of obviously online stuff. Okay. I've got some seminars coming up in July in upstate New York. Actually, we've organised some clinics over, which would be pretty rad. But to be honest, I'm not doing a lot of hands-on stuff. Most of it's online with my stuff at the moment. Just it's so hard, you know, trying to fit life in and then get to the track. And like I used to do that. I used to run clinics like 3 times a week, and you know, you're never home, and it's just chaos. Yeah. But
yeah, see, mine's the exact opposite. I'm out here. I'll coach probably 6 days a week, and then I just kind of the online thing is like a smaller thing that I do just to kind of help a wider range of riders.
Yeah. I like the hands-on stuff. I probably get out once a month with my guys. I got a good little group of guys that I look after, and majority of them are local, so we can catch up at a local track and do a bit of track stuff sort of once a month. But then I've been running a few more gate specific seminars at the moment, rather than the let's go do some jumps and let's do some manual stuff.
Very cool.
So yeah, getting a little bit more specific with particular aspects of racing. So I might look at doing some more I might just start doing them that way rather than trying to spread it all out and do one bit of everything. I think it's good to sort of grab one niche of the sport and really focus on that and yeah, you can put a lot of work into something because the sport's so technical, right? And and, I've had this conversation in the past where we talk about the sport and it's like, dude, it's got to be the hardest sport in the world to learn, right? Because you got to learn to jump, gate start, manual, and then you got like sprints, and then you got to go to the gym, and then you got to like, then the mental side of it. It's got to be one of the hardest sports in the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell parents, like, if they want to try, I say, okay, if you want to compare it, go to your gym, stand on a BOSU ball, so you have to balance, do push-ups and pull-ups because and squats all at the same time while you're on that BOSU ball, and then somebody's going to throw a tennis ball at you and try not to get hit as you're like simulating, like trying to pass people, right? There's so much happening all at the same time that it's something that you really can't comprehend until like you're in the middle of the lap. Now, there's riding a track, which is fairly easy, and then racing at a higher level, which are all equally their own steps with their own challenges.
And then you got 7 other lunatics next to you trying to kill you at the same time. So,
and you have absolutely no idea what the guy next to you is going to do.
Absolute chaos. Beautiful. So, are you doing a bit of stuff in the gym with riders?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do too much hands-on stuff in the gym.
Okay.
I'll just more like write programs and things like that, but I'm not physically in the gym with too many. I'll occasionally have a rider or two come out time to time that we'll go in the gym together. But most of my stuff when it comes to that stuff is more like the online programs and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess let's go back to your track stuff then. So obviously you're running some clinics. Do you break your clinics up? Do you have like age limits, or do you base it off sort of skill levels? How do you do that?
I'll base it off like proficiency. So the same way you would, like, I do a novice clinic, an intermediate clinic, and an expert clinic.
Yeah, right.
Because what I found is it doesn't matter the age. A novice is a novice. They still have to learn how to balance in the gate, learn certain techniques in the start, make sure pedal positioning is right, make sure they're pumping right. So it doesn't matter if it's a 6-year-old first timer or the dad wanting to cruise out with their kid. They still need to learn how to pump and learn those basics. Yep. So I've just found out that basing it off of proficiency rather than age has been a little bit more successful.
Yeah, right. Are you? Is there anything in particular riders need to work on? Like, is there something that every single rider you see goes, okay, right, we need to go back and really work on that skill?
It's kind of funny because the more, like we talked earlier about how we want more advancement in our sport, we wish we had the coaching that we did earlier, which is great, and our sport has that now. But now it's almost gone like 2 different directions, right? Like, I'll coach some 15 experts that are phenomenal on their bike and they're strong and they're fast. But if you go tell them to manual on flat ground, like 5 parking spaces, they can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think just making sure that my advice would just be to be well-rounded. Don't just focus on the training and racing aspect. Make sure that you're good in all areas of bike riding, because the manual in the parking lot is going to translate to the manual on the road. The bunny hopping on the street is going to translate to the jumps. And if you're wanting to progress, you've got to have that basic bike handling skill, because just raw strength is only going to get you so far.
Yeah, for sure. How have you found the crossover coming back to flat pedals for some of the young riders?
Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because our turnover in our sport in America is like, every few years riders are coming and going. So I don't have a ton that went from clips to flats back to clips and dealing with that transition.
Yep.
Most of the kids now just started in flats and that's what they know. I do still have a few that dealt with it. And I also saw kids leave the sport because they just couldn't ride flat pedals and they couldn't figure it out. And a year later, they just weren't racing anymore.
Isn't that bonkers? It's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you had like 7, 8-year-olds who just literally started in clips and lived their whole life in clips and never rode flats.
It's different, right? It's just a whole different pedaling mechanic. Yeah. I remember younger riders, I'd get them at like 14, 15, 16, and their hamstrings were so tight just from pulling on clips all the time. They couldn't even touch it. Like, they couldn't even touch their knees, to be honest. Like, they just try and bend over to touch their toes, and they were just so tight from just reefing on clips their whole life. It's crazy. And
that's a funny thing too, is we understand like bad backs and tight hips and stuff like that from years of racing. When if you don't want to do the prehab, and you don't want to stretch, you don't want to take care of your body until it's too late. Then you're waking up with tight hamstrings and sore back, and your hips are all over the place and stuff like that, because everything we do is one-sided. Your right leg's always forward. We're so explosive. We're always doing certain movements that put a lot of stress on our body. Yeah. And without kind of taking that 5-10 minutes a day to take care of it, you see 15-year-olds that can't touch their knees.
It's brutal, man. It's brutal. Like, I actually got right into stretching. probably in my early or probably late teens, I started stretching a lot more. Same thing. Like just, I'm not stretching.
Yeah.
What am I stretching for? And then started implementing it into my regimen. I'd finish my workout and then I'd just sit on the floor for, 5-10 minutes and just touch your hands, touch your toes, stretch your hamstrings, all that sort of stuff. And made a world of difference,
Yeah.
And then as you stop, as you get a bit older, you're like, it doesn't matter. And then, getting older is worse, right? You probably got to do it more. So
Yeah. No, I mean, nothing major where it was catastrophic, but I had I broke my lower back racing in my early 20s.
that's pretty catastrophic.
Yeah, but like it wasn't like I wasn't paralyzed. I wasn't like nothing crazy, right? Like basically it's a spondy, the two little things that hold your spine together on the side cracked and it all slid forward, right?
Yeah.
So
Spinal.
it was to the point where I stretch and I do that every day, or I'm fusing my spine together.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer for me, but at that point I was forced into it, and then I realized like how much my life is better from literally spending 5 to 10 minutes a day taking care of it instead of just waiting for it to hurt and then digging myself out of a hole then.
Yeah. Well, that's that whole David Goggins story. I don't know if you've heard of David Goggins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I remember reading his book, and he was talking about how he was just like, he was in bed, he couldn't move, and it was just like, because he was doing so much training, and then he just started stretching. Now he's got this massive 2-hour stretching routine or 4-hour stretching, or something crazy, 2-hour stretching routine every night. Where he goes,
must be nice to have 2 to 4 hours just to stretch. I love that.
Yeah. And he goes, I have to, or I just ball up, But it's something that, and even look at all the recovery stuff coming in now. Like ice baths are massive, sauna's massive. There's such a big push now for rest and recovery for especially for health for your body.
Yeah, you can monitor your sleep and track how good you're sleeping, and you can do so much more. That these guys have such an advantage just due to all that stuff for sure.
Dude, imagine you had that stuff when you were coming up, like all the access to all this recovery stuff and coaches and training, and dude, it'd be a different world, right?
Yeah, I say that I was faster my first few years as vet pro than I probably was at elite because of my knowledge and what I knew older rather than earlier.
Yeah.
Like I won obviously the 3 vet titles that I did, but I would say if I had to just go speed for speed, I mean, I'll never know for sure, but I'm convinced that I probably would have done better at elite vet in my younger 30s because of my knowledge and what I had behind me than my lack of knowledge in my young 20s when I had the youth on my side.
Well, that's probably where riders are at now, right? You're saying that a lot of the older pros are doing really well. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that little bit more knowledge and, they've figured their bodies out. So they're not burning the candle at both ends. Like, dude, I remember early on, man, just partying like a rock star all the time. Like I'd finish races, bang, straight to the club. And then couldn't figure out why I felt like crap the next week. So...
Yeah, you guys were still like, I was the next generation where we dabbled in it. You guys were definitely way more hardcore than our, and then like every generation, I guess, depending on how you look on it, our sports got more boring. The riders got more faster, but the sports got more boring, right?
Yeah. Good old days, hey? How much fun was it? Yeah, well, you know what? And it's funny you say that, like, just not having anything back then. Like I was saying earlier, like I had some football coach coaching us and trying to, just make us do laps, and it was all about endurance back then. But then, Sue, they're saying that too, the tracks were different then back, right? So you only had like 1 or 2 jumps per straight. This is early on. Like you said, I was probably the generation before you. But a lot of the tracks I started on were just really mellow, and it was pedaling. Like you could load your gearing up. You could have a massive big gear and just focus on pedaling and endurance.
Well, and just the amount of laps and the amount of races that I think you guys did versus the current generation, right? Like you look at, if we can compare races to races, these guys in the USA BMX series, they have 10 races in the year, right?
Yeah.
And last year they cut out quarters. So they did 3 motos, semis, and mains. They did 5 laps in a day. I'm sure you were the same to some degree. Like we had the option to race class, open, and cruiser as pro.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're doing 3 laps in qualifying for, I did cruiser, so we'll do class and cruiser. So just your qualifying rounds, you got 6 laps there. You've got quarters and semis in 20-inch, plus three main events for the pro class, plus a main and cruiser. Like we're doing more laps in a single day that these guys were doing all weekend.
Yeah.
And then there wasn't pro series, so you had 25 ABA races and probably another 15 NBL races if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So you guys had to train different then than the current pros do now, for sure.
Yeah. It's so hard to back it up, man. Like people don't understand. it's like, oh, it's only 40 seconds, but it's 40 seconds of intensity, man. Like that's flat out 40, 30,
Flat out.
40 seconds. And then backing that up 18 times in a day, if you're running 3
Yep.
classes, right? It's crazy. And then like, sometimes you get to races and then you've warmed up, you're ready to go, you get on the gate, and then they sit you on the gate for 20 minutes. It's
Yeah.
like that sort of stuff just drives me bonkers. Like they just don't understand what's involved to peak your performance at that level and just get, be in the right frame of mind, have your body optimal, warmed up, and just dude. These officials.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being at the World Championship and they call you back to staging for the final and you sit there for 25 minutes in the chutes, like waiting to get ready, whether it be from a physical standpoint, like trying not to cramp, trying to stay loose, and then just a mental standpoint, running through everything that could happen for that 25 minutes when you really only needed to be there for 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that comes back to that thing we were just talking about before, where it's just like, everything's got to be perfect, all the planets have to align, and you could do everything perfect, and then you've done your warm up, you're like, yep, I'm ready to go, and then they'll go sit you somewhere for half an hour, you're like, or you're standing on a hill, like this for half an hour, and your hamstrings and your calves are all blown out because you've just been standing on your toes for 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's bonkers, man. How's your racing going? You still racing?
I don't really do too much anymore. I'll do a couple races here and there.
Yeah.
I've got some kids at home, and it was a few years back when I went to Houston for a race, and I called home to see how everybody's doing, and my daughter on FaceTime, she goes, "Daddy, I miss you. Why aren't you home?" I'm like, you know what? Like, this is stupid. Why? I've already been to this race 10 times. Why am I not at home?
Yeah.
And just my priorities switched. And I think at that time, I already had a great racing career on Elite Man and Vet Pro. I had a handful of titles and stuff like that. And I think my time is better served here with my family and local community than it is on the road.
Yeah, man.
And there was a time where I could make my best impact being out at those races and talking to people and helping out and doing what I could on the national scene. And now it's here getting kids to, sorry, man, this is bad.
No, all good, brother. All good.
Worst part is it's the same person that keeps calling me.
Yeah.
Doesn't
he know you're on a podcast?
Yeah, they don't know. Leave me alone. The biggest thing is, I got to be here now to get these kids back on the track. I got to be a dad for my kids. And my daughter's starting to race now, so maybe we'll go to a few more races. But now I literally just do it just for fun. I do it to prove that my training works and that I still know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is I won't race for 10 months and I'll make the mains at the Grands or something like that. Like just to say, hey, I'm going to have a crack. We got 3 months. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do it together.
Yeah, right.
And go through and do a couple races and still have a shot and try to make some mains.
Yeah, man. That's it. You forget how much fun it is, man. It's so fun racing.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
fun.
My hardest part is I'll show up to like that race and I feel like speed for speed, I do okay, but then just not going to a race for 10 months and trying to jump in the gate with these guys who have been racing the full series.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest struggle is I just ride a little timid and a little bit unsure of like the race pack just because I don't get to do it that often anymore.
Yeah.
But it's still fun and I enjoy jumping in the gate when I can. It's just it doesn't happen quite as much anymore. So I take advantage of it when I got it.
It's a very selfish sport, BMX. Like you have to be all in. It's hard to not be all in and do it. Like I was like one of the other episodes I was talking to one of the guys. I said, a lot of the Australians have been so successful, but they've sacrificed their whole life, man, to live over there. And look at Sam and Warwick Stevenson and Kaylin and Bootsy and all the other Australians that have just literally picked up their whole life, moved over there, sacrificed any relationships they've had here just to race BMX. It's a very selfish sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be selfish to a degree because we are an individual sport. So there's certain times where you have to put your priorities in place. And I don't know, I don't necessarily look at it as a sacrifice in the respect that those guys have got to live their dream. And that's been an awesome opportunity that not a lot of people have, but there are certain priorities that if you want to do it, you have to do certain things. That's just how it is.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But it is fun. It's so much fun.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, that's great that you're still getting out there and having a pedal every now and then. That's fun. That's good.
Yeah. I've got some fast older riders that I'll work with too. So I'll ride with them typically once a week just to get out on the bike and make sure they still know that they can't beat me. And just keep it fun.
Perfect. How old are you now?
I'm 40 now. I turned 41 in a couple months. So I'm still hanging on to 40 for a little bit longer.
Oh, shit. Getting old.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
But It makes it that much sweeter when the 16-year-old Nagwin kid thinks he's the man, and then I remind him after I beat him that I'm a
Yeah.
couple years older than his dad.
You got to tell him. You got to tell him sometimes.
Absolutely, let him know.
What sort of stuff are you doing in the gym for training? Obviously, you're still keeping fit.
Yeah, I'll do kind of a combo. Like I'll go through phases where I'm like just kind of general fitness just to keep the dad bod away and just stay in shape.
Yep.
And then I'll go in kind of blocks where I try to be a little bit more specific. And I think the fact that I do still train riders and do my website and stuff like that, like I'll test all of my stuff out first just to make sure I'm seeing some kind of progression in a positive way. So I don't just like write a program of what I think, hey, I think you should do this. This will probably work. Whether it be 3, 4, 5 weeks that I do it before, or if I at least test the exercise, nothing goes into my training without me trying it first.
Yeah.
But it keeps me motivated and keeps me going because, like I said, there's times when I just go in and just do a bench and back day just to make sure that I stay strong and not slacking. And then there's times when we're doing some heavy lifts or some speed stuff and really like BMX specific and focused.
Yeah. I used to have, when I was racing and coaching, I'd have them a month behind me in their programming. So like I'd be doing the program a month ahead just to test it out, make sure it wasn't rubbish. So
I do the exact same thing.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll always stay about a month ahead with all my stuff, and that goes from everything from sprint stuff to track stuff to gym stuff. And typically, I'll kind of focus my gym stuff into 2 days, more like a speed day and a heavy lift day.
Yeah.
Just to kind of work on those two different areas. Those are kind of my main focuses when I'll go in.
Is there anything in the gym that's the must-have, like for riders? What is there an exercise that you give every rider and just say this is the bee's knees, mate? This is the one that's going to make you fast.
That's a good question. I'm a huge fan. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. I like the trap bar.
Yep.
Because I think that you can do a lot of different things with that, from dynamic movements to heavy lifts. But I feel it's a little bit safer than your traditional back squat or deadlift and things like that, for the respect that all aspects, whether it be first timers in the gym or later on in life, we have really strong legs. And, if your other stuff isn't in line, I want to do something that's going to get the most out of the exercise with the least amount of risk possible.
Are you using like the open-ended one where you can step out of it and do like single leg stuff with it as well? Have you seen those ones?
I love those. I don't personally have one. I think those are awesome. And it's definitely on my to-get list at some point, because those ones are pretty cool.
Just I'll write that down for a Christmas present.
Exactly. Let my wife know what I want.
What are you doing for speed work in the gym?
I'll typically do obviously some plyometric stuff, but I like a lot of like the West Side barbell method.
Yeah.
I've dug pretty deep into that over the years and had some real success with it. Like mid to end of my pro career.
Yeah.
So I like looking at some stuff that Louis has and can bring to the table. So definitely do some work with bands, do some shorter intervals, focus on just some more dynamic movements and just getting in there and smashing it out.
I had a chat with Louis on Messenger once.
Did you?
Yeah, how cool's that? So this
What
was
a legend.
Yeah. So years ago, someone put me on the West Side. I'm like, what is this? They're just like big meathead bodybuild powerlifters. I'm like, whatever. And so I sort of got into it and I'm like, oh, this band stuff's great, right? So I utilize a lot of bands and stuff with my training. And and I messaged West Side and I said, oh, hey, look, I'm a BMX rider. I explained myself, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, have you got any suggestions for, BMX riders? He goes, banded leg curls. And I go, and I'm like, blah, 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 chatting away. And he goes, it's, and it's Louis here. And I'm like, it's Louis. I'm talking to Louis.
Little fanboy moment. I'd be doing the same thing.
So good. I had another friend of mine went over there and trained with him and got a photo. I'm like, I wish that was me. But anyway.
Yeah, I think, who introduced me to his stuff? I think we started doing his stuff, dabbling a little bit when I was working with Greg Romero.
Yeah.
And then that transitioned all the way from working with Greg, and then I've got some time with Sean as well. That's kind of a modified version of that.
Yep.
And then spent some time training with Sam where we implemented some of that stuff too. So it's just, I think it definitely is BMX applicable, and taking that knowledge and tweaking it for the right stuff that works for our sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you play on the reverse hyper at all for your back?
Yeah, I used to have one. So I don't have one anymore, but we used to have one, and I absolutely loved that machine.
Yeah.
So it was great for so many aspects, and we'll try to like recreate that now. Like I was saying, me and Sam used to train together in my garage, and he bought one that we had in there. So we had that for a long time and loved having that in there.
Yeah. Man, they're so good. It's so hard on you though, like on your solar plexus, like you just sort of, when you balance, like where your, the curvature is, where you're sitting on it, like, it's like, it's pulling you apart, especially when you go heavy on it.
You know one that I've got now that I really love is I've got a belt squat. Have you ever done that
Oh
much?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, just because, like I said, I do have the lower back issues,
Yeah, that'd be
and
nice, man.
so I love it because it kind of does a little traction on your lower back at the same time because it's pulling on your hips.
Yeah.
So it kind of allows you to load it up, and then it kind of opens up your lower back at the same time. So that's been one that personally I've been a huge fan of lately.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nice. Yeah, the band stuff's great. I really love it. I think the overspeed eccentrics and the fact that you can just punch as hard as you want with the bands and just not go anywhere, it's really good. And it gets you in a bit of a channel. I don't know if you've done a lot of box squats and stuff in the past, but
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, the bands are great, man. I really love it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
obviously,
there's so much. I mean, you can go from light band tension all the way up to heavy band, and people underestimate how much those bands are really pulling down at the top.
oh, dude, crazy.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. So I think it's an underrated exercise that can be implemented in a really good way for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we run I think we run extra small bands, which are still like 25 kilos, which is like nearly still 50 pounds at the top each. So you still
Yeah.
got 50 pounds at the top, plus your bar
Yeah.
weight, plus whatever you're putting on the bar. So yeah, it's a different world. It's really good.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on like single and double leg exercises, right? So I see sometimes guys going super heavy on single leg stuff in the gym, and I'm like, I sort of, yeah, I try and keep the gym for what it is, right? Like the gym I treat as strength building, and I had this conversation with Sam earlier as well about people trying to get too specific in the gym, trying to make
Yeah.
stuff look like BMX.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? So what's your thoughts on that?
I've talked about that in length a handful of times. I remember one time leading up to, what Olympics was it? Probably 2012, and we had all the Team USA coaches. At that point there was a bunch of private coaches, and I swear when we walked into the gym, if you weren't part of the BMX program, you probably thought like Circus Olay was going on. Like every coach was trying to invent their signature exercise that was going to make their rider win, and like we probably just looked stupid. You've got this guy over here doing this weird like single leg rack pull on the box, and this guy's got bands around and a belt on, and he's hopping down and he's doing this and all this kind of stuff that, there's certain sports specific movements that I think are cool, but at the end of the day, exactly what you said, the gym is there to get stronger and more powerful.
Yeah.
So focus on that and keep it simple, stupid. Like,
Yeah.
I promise you, there is not one movement that Joris Dode is doing different than what Sam did, than what Neek did, I mean, we can go down the list of every rider that Warwick did, if you want to go back, that Kalen done, that Kyle Bennett did. Like, it's all the same base stuff with minor tweaks.
Yeah.
And all you're going to do, if you try to get too fancy, is you're going to end up hurting yourself or doing something crazy.
Yeah. Get strong in the gym and then get fast on your bike.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, let me be clear. I've done a few single movement stuff because I have lower back issues and I can't load 4 plates on my back anymore. I just can't, right?
Yeah.
So I supplemented some of that stuff with some single leg stuff to still get the load on my legs that I want. But I'm not trying to go crazy in a position to hurt myself. I'm doing it because of certain other restrictions. So there might be a time and place on it, but at the end of the day, use the gym for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I sort of see some of the Bulgarians sometimes and dudes just loading up like 20 plates on each side trying to do a Bulgarian split squat or something. I'm like, just relax, man,
Yeah.
It doesn't take much for your stabilizers to give way, and then because that's the first thing that's going to fatigue, right? Your stabilizers are gone, and then you've got this bar on your back, you're like, no, and then, it doesn't take much.
And then one oops, and you're missing the next World Cup because you twisted sideways with 4 plates on your back with a single leg on there, right? And then you're done. So it was a completely pointless exercise.
Yeah, I had a gym for about 10 years over here, and same thing. People loading up leg press. It's like it's an accessory exercise, mate, and they're trying to do like 4 or 5 reps on a leg press. It's just like it's an accessory exercise, mate. Just use it for an accessory. It's like if you want to go heavy, just load the squat bar up. How come you can only squat 2 plates on a squat bar, but you got 10 plates on the leg press? Like, it doesn't make sense, right?
There we go.
So yeah, interesting. Yeah, and then obviously plyos and stuff. You're in there. A lot of bounding. I've been digging into a lot of bounding and stuff lately. Do you get into that? Bounding, single leg, double leg?
Yeah, I found this guy that he's like a track and field guy that I follow on social media. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I just started watching some of his stuff and it was super good. So that's like the one good side of social media is you can kind of pick up some cool little tips here and there.
Yeah.
And then if you use it the right way, like now let me be clear, I think, and we've all done it ourselves, right? There's certain things that are on there for clickbait just to get people to click. But then when you really start digging into who they are, what they're doing, what their purpose is, some of these guys are putting out some really, really good info. And so I've enjoyed like trying some of that, some bounds, some seated long bounds, some just a lot of repetitive bounds, things like that you can really get some good stuff out of that I think applies to the track.
It's like we talked about before, man. There was just none of this around when you were coming up, like, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Now, let me be clear with that too, is kids, teenagers, adults, whatever, you can't just sit on your phone and just scroll through a bunch of clickbait, different exercise and just like, oh, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Like, there's a progressive purpose behind what's there and why these guys are able to do it and able to do it successfully and how they got there.
Yeah.
So I think that's the double-edged sword is, yes, these kids and riders have all this awesome information that guys like yourself are putting out and whatever, but you're seeing like a tiny little snippet of it. Is there's a before, during, and after, and having that whole understanding is going to be much better than just scrolling through your phone and doing like the clickbait workouts for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's so important, right? To have a coach, to have a bit of a mentor, and especially someone like yourself who's been in the sport forever, right? You've probably done a lot of the trial and error where you've gone and done this, done that, and gone, oh, well, that didn't work. Yeah, when I was living with Sean up in Sydney, man, we were just playing around with different things, crank lengths, gearings, and playing the whole testing game.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the benefit of having older coaches still hanging around the sport and willing to give their time and knowledge back to riders, is that they've played all these games, man. They've played all the trial and error stuff, Like I see some riders doing different things now and with training and sprints, like they're doing standing start sprints, and their whole thing now is they're trying to wheelie halfway down the road, like trying to do sprints on their back wheel because that's how it is on the gate start. It's like, well, maybe, but it's not very stable, right? This isn't a gate start. You're working on developing leg strength on your sprints, right?
Goes back to what we said in the gym. The sprints are the sprints, the gates are the gates, the gym is the gym.
I know. And everyone's trying to cross everything over all the time. It's just like, but my gate's like this, and my gate's like that. It's like, okay, that's fine. That's your gate start. This is sprints. It's a different thing, right?
Right.
So there you go. There's our clickbait for the podcast. That'll be perfect.
There we go.
Stop doing stupid wheelies when you're trying to do sprints. Practice putting your wheel on the ground and pedaling.
Keep your wheel on the ground and sprint to sprint. That's right.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome, man. All right, buddy. Well, look, hey, I appreciate your time, man. I'll let you go because I know obviously you're flat out and you've got plenty of people calling you and all that sort of stuff. But I'm sure I'll chop this up and make it look good. So
hey, it was great chatting with you. It was good to kind of hear some insight from you. I'm always down for some training talk.
Awesome, buddy. Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah. You have a great day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks. Bye.
See you, mate.